ESPN's come up with their future power rankings. I hope they're right, but I got to be totally honest. I don't think they are. Not in a good way. Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It's your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps as well as on YouTube. Thank you for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. Craig Bolerjack rejoins the show here in just a moment. He has been nice enough to give us 2 days. Next week, Thurl Bailey joins us, and then we'll see what else we can grab along the way for you. Today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. FanDuel, first-time new customers bet $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. ESPN just came out with their future power rankings. Now, let me make sure that I'm clear on what I'm about to say, because it could be very well misinterpreted, and I'm just being totally honest here. So for all you out there saying, you never say what you really think you should say because you work for the team. Well, that's about to not be true. This will destroy that. The NBA future power rankings are based on-court success in the 25-26 season, 26-27 season, and 27-28 season. Okay, so for the next 3 years. So I saw this. I stopped at this point and decided to ask myself, what do I really think is going to happen in the next 3 seasons of Jazz basketball? I suspect that this season we will have as few as 17 or 18 wins. That's what the Vegas line is. That's what FanDuel's over-under on for us. I kind of suspect that. I suspect that next year we will have drafted one of these young stars. We'll couple them with Ace Bailey. We'll siphon through a little bit of who our 7 young players we have right now are. But the draft's not great. The draft's actually supposed to be terrible the year after. So I could see us put a veteran or 2 in there, but I don't expect us putting anyone that would be blocking the minutes of Walter Clayton, and depending where Isaiah Collier is on his development, and depending where Key, if he has a good year. And I don't see us bringing in 2 or 3 vets who take 30 minutes a night and take the time away from our players who we've chosen to develop, right? So let's say Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams, Kyle Filipowski, Walter Clayton Jr., the 4 guys at the end of this year. So, I think there's a chance that Key's still in that group and that Isaiah's still in that group. But let's say those are the 4 guys that we're still developing. I don't think we're bringing in veterans on top of them. So then our 8-man rotation a year from now is Ace Bailey, a rookie, Lowry, Walker, and those 4 guys. I don't think we're going to win a lot of games again. The draft's not very good. Maybe we use our draft pick to do something, but I still don't think we're going to win a lot of games. 27-28, I could see, okay, now Ace is in his 3rd year. The other player's in his 2nd year. Some of your other guys have established. You've moved pieces. You might have brought in some players. I think we could be on our way up into the 35s or 40s by 27-28. Maybe I'm really just too patient here. So when I put those 2 to 3 things together, that's my honest observation. Anything more than that would be awesome. I kind of feel like we're going to win between 15 and 20 games this year, between 20 and 25, maybe 30 the next year, and between 35. So truthfully, when I saw that the Jazz power ranking of wins for the next 3 seasons is 24th, I couldn't believe it was that high. They think the Jazz will win more games in the next 3 seasons than the Sacramento Kings, The Washington Wizards, maybe they're the exact same situation we're in, and they may, they have $80 million of cap space this summer that they could probably spend better than we can. They have 10 first-round draft picks, 13 seconds. They're kind of where we are. They have a bunch of young, interesting players from Bilal Coulibaly to Alex Sarr to Bub Carrington to Keyonte George, who no one's quite sure about. They're very similar to us. Brooklyn, okay, I'll buy that. We're going to win more games than Brooklyn over the next 3 years. They are on the front side of this. The Chicago Bulls? Really? Because they sit there with Kobe White, who's 25, and Josh Giddey, who's 22, with cap flexibility in an awesome city, and they are perfectly content with winning 40 to 39 games every year. The New Orleans Pelicans? I thought they had a really questionable offseason. Depending what happens with Zion, there's a chance that they really fall apart. And then the Phoenix Suns. I think the Phoenix Suns, as much as everyone's talking about how terrible they're going to be, still have Devin Booker. I'm not sure I buy the optimism on Jalen Green or Mark Williams, who hasn't stayed healthy. And I understand they're in really big financial trouble, and we hope they're terrible by 31 when we have their pick. But I'd be surprised if we won more games than the Phoenix Suns over the next 3 years. So if this chart is truly done by how many games you're winning on the court success in the next 3 years, I'm surprised by how they have this done. Now, I don't disagree with some of the rankings. This is Kevin Pelton did this, so I probably should just call him. They have us ranked 27th in players in the league for the next 3 years. Okay? Really depends on what Ace does. Money, they have us as the third best. Draft, they have us as the third best. Market, they have us at 26th. And management, they have us at 12th. I don't quibble with that. Sacramento, by the way, if you're wondering, market is classified as worse. New Orleans Pelicans market at 28th is classified as worse. Charlotte, I believe, market was classified as worse, which I'm surprised by. No, it was not. I take it back. Sacramento was classified as worst. Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Minnesota, all classified as a worse market than Utah. So I hope they're right. But I got to be honest, when I saw that and I did it myself, I had us as lower than that. That's my expectations. Will Hardy's a great coach. Maybe some of our young players are going to hit, and we're going to exceed that really quickly. I think we're going to siphon through some of our young players this year, which is going to be really interesting to see. It doesn't mean I'm not fired up for it. It doesn't mean I'm not excited for the season. I think it's going to be incredible. But that's just my truthful take on the next 3 years, and I welcome you to disagree with me. And so I was surprised we were 24th. Charlotte's at 23. If we go the other way for a second, Charlotte's at 23. Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, LaMelo Ball, Tajon, Nick Smith has not been good. I mean, I'm not going to close the door on our guys. They do have 24 draft picks in the next 7 years, including 11 firsts. Their players ranked 25th. Our ranked 27th. Washington ranks 29th, by the way. If you want the teams that supposedly have worse players than us, they are Brooklyn, Chicago, Washington, and that's it. Well, there's only three because we're at 27. So 29 is Washington, 30 is Brooklyn, 28 is Chicago. Those are the only three teams that they think have less good players on their roster currently. Let's hope that proves out to not be true. Craig Bolerjack continues our conversation. We'll get back into starting five. Yesterday, he dropped Ace Bailey as the starting two. Is there something to that? We'll hear from him and more as we continue on Locked On Jazz. Today's edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off your first year on Monarch Money. I mentioned this yesterday on the show that we were sitting around doing some money stuff. And what I'm finding so useful about Monarch Money is that it allows us to be able to categorize where different expenditures are coming from so we can isolate things and say, okay, that's costing us this. This is costing us that. If we're trying to do things, is that worth it? How do we evaluate it? It's really your all-in-one personal finance tool that brings you the entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in a minute. See clear data visuals, get smart characterizations of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Know your own situation better. It's giving you an edge. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Today's show also, New setup. If you can't tell, I'm not in my regular place. If you're running a business and you know you've missed call, you've left money on the table, this is my favorite because I have always told you that this is the company that I only wish that we had known about when we were building Locked On the very first time. Open phone. This is pretty great. So you're running a business, you know, if you miss a call, they're not waiting for you to call back. They're calling somebody else. So make sure whatever your service industry is that you're getting taken care of people, that's where Open Phone comes in. Open Phone is the #1 phone business system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or your computer. Open Phone lets you manage business calls, texts in a single app. Shared inbox feature is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat, and their AI agents handle after-hour calls, answer common questions, and capture leads. So right now, Open Phone is offering listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. If you have existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Day 2 with Craig Bolerjack. Now you decide. Same clothes? Maybe we record. I'm not even hiding. We record these in one day, but we give you 2 days worth of content. It's great. All right. We delved into this a little yesterday. So who is your starting five? Not like, this is like, okay, this is on like in September. We're going to go through training camp. Right. Things can change. We're not saying, like, if it's not this starting five, neither of us are saying it's wrong.
Right.
But who is your guess for a starting five? You are right on this. This is fascinating because I had not gone where you're going.
I'm going to go this way because it ended at the point. I think, again, for me, camp, when we're able to go and actually, absorb a couple of practices, Dave, I'm going to say that we'll go with Isaiah Collier.
Okay.
And then we go Ace, we go Marketing, Flip, and Walker. That's my five.
Fascinating.
Now, it could change. Obviously, you know how the competition is. And Keyonte, I guarantee you know this, he does not want to be a rotational, second thought. He wants to be a starter in this league. But I still think the question is for the Jazz, and maybe this is good discussion, his true position. And have we found that out yet? And I think the answer is still no.
So, all right, I will share. I think you're probably better. Yours is actually better than mine, but mine is Keyonte, Bryce, Ace, Lowry, Walker. I'll give you a few thoughts on this.
Sure.
Okay. So I don't think the fact that you started a game last year has any relevance to starting a game this year. I think that'll be Will Hardy's first talking message, media day, and to his team is going to be, I don't care what happened last year. It's a brand new year. Everything's open. You got to earn it. Like, Keontae's not coming off the bench. Isaiah's not starting. Flip's not. Like, I don't think you got to earn it. I think, is going to be his first message. So I think the idea that Isaiah started last year, therefore Isaiah starts this year, I actually would be stunned if Isaiah earns the starting job in training camp. Then he gets it. But okay. Right. I do not think in this NBA that you can play two players who don't shoot threes. It's not just that Isaiah doesn't make threes, he doesn't take them. And so I don't know that you can play Isaiah Collier and Walker Kessler together. I would much rather see Isaiah Collier playing in a second unit, maybe with Flip at the 5, that's wide open, playing fast, spread floor, driving lanes, creating. Now, we can't build the whole team around Isaiah Collier.
Right.
So that's a little ridiculous, but I do see that as his best role. So a little bit of my starting lineup is predicated that I actually think the second unit is Isaiah Collier, Walter Clayton Jr., Cody Williams, Taylor Hendricks, Kyle Filipowski in this kind of fun, exciting, fast, somebody better rebound, better be Flip group. Now, I think Nurkic will play some and slide in there, and it's a little different, but I think that that's a better environment for Collier. I actually really like Collier and Clayton playing together because I'm not entirely sure I know what position Clayton is either, and I think having a primary ball handler on the floor will lessen the burden. If there was anything in Summer League that worried me is I thought there were times when pressure made it hard for him to get the ball up the floor. Yeah. Maybe that's wrong. Okay, so that's that. Then let's go to Key because you brought that up. Sorry for the monologue. I'm just done with anything easy for him. I think I'm bullish on him. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he'll have a year 2 to year 3 jump. That's when rookies do not have a jump year 1 to year 2. We all wait for it. It doesn't happen. Unless you're god awful in year 1, you do not get better in year 2. It almost never happens. Cody Williams better get better. He had a terrible rookie year. But guys who have a pretty good rookie year rarely have a better second year. Walker showed us year 2 to year 3. So I'm pretty excited about Key. I think he's going to have a good year. But I also want to see him do it against the best players.
Agreed.
I don't want to see him do it against second unit guys. Like, that was cute. Right. That was the right thing to do at the right time. But Key, let's go, baby. Let's see you up against James Harden in the first game of the year. Let's see you against, I don't know where we go. We go to Phoenix. Let's see you against Devin Booker. Let's see you in Portland against, I guess it's Scoot. You better kick his ass. Right?
Right.
Right. Like, I want to see you against the best guys because I actually think he can do it. I think he's going to have a really good year. So, and then I just think Bryce shoots 41% from 3. And the other one on that, if I brought this up to Will Hardy, I think he would say to me, or somebody in the Jazz, it doesn't have to be Will, would be like, excuse me, we have to defend. Okay, if Keyonte George and Bryce Sensabaugh don't defend, they're going to go somewhere else. And they're going to start a vagabond NBA career. That's the reality. The two of them have to start defending.
Agreed. That's why I think I lean towards the length of Bailey and Collier. I like your point, and I'm just curious to see where Will is on Keyonte. They've kind of butted heads, and that's okay. I mean, Jerry Sloan butted heads with nearly every player that ever came through that organization.
He actually didn't butt heads. He threatened them with fists.
Yes. Ice bags, whatever, a shoe, whatever it may be.
You want to fight me?
You want to go? You want to go?
Could you imagine this day and age if Will Hardy got in the middle of a huddle and said to a player, you want to fight me?
Ask Ostertag about some of those experiences in the locker room. But, David, I think it is interesting to see the relationship with Keyonte and Will, and if they can both wipe the slate clean. And I'm not saying there's anything that's, as a huge hurdle. I think it's about effort. It's about listening. It's about making those changes and being a leader where you actually believe in the voice that this Jazz team needs. And I think Isaiah was given an opportunity last year to maybe voice that leadership a little bit as the last 15 games wound down. Did it mean much? No. But I still believe, though, that he continued to play with abandon and purpose. Keyonte, I just don't think can afford to take camp lightly. I think he has to own it and say, this is my job, and I'm going to show you why, Will, that I belong here. And I'm excited to see that battle because I think that'll be one of the biggest, if not the biggest storyline of end of September in those first couple of 3 preseason games to see how the rotations go. I like your talk about second unit. Cody Williams, definitely a second unit guy. And I think he's got to show. And the confidence. I'm anxious too. How does he respond to his brother winning an NBA championship? And how much stress and pressure, or does he turn that into confidence because it's DNA. I don't know. These are all the little nuances, right, of each individual and how they approach who they are, how bad they want it, how hard they work, and really then it comes down to what kind of talent level you truly have. Do the Jazz make the right picks, or will they be vagabonds in the NBA for the next 8 to 10 years? That's really kind of a interesting question to ask, because you know what, a lot of guys get traded, and Jerry Sloan always said, you know what though, you're always auditioning, right, every night. A lot of teams want different combos, and your size may fit what our plan is better than someplace else. But I would still think Cody and Taylor, they've got a lot to prove, and Flip does too. I think Flip wants to make sure that Vegas wasn't just an anomaly, that he's the real deal, and a lot of teams made a mistake in not taking him in the top 15 or 20 and 2 years ago in the draft. So
you make a really interesting point there. And maybe I'm doing this backwards, but to some extent, I think Cody and Taylor and where they are might dictate all the lineups. So, like, if Cody and Taylor are ready to play, then it starts to fiddle other things, right? So if Taylor's playing as a 4, and you think Lowry's at the 4, or you think that Ace is then a 4, then Flip's got to play 5.
Right.
If you think that, right? So if Cody's ready to play, and you think, like, then we'll set, like, how are you getting them all in? How you, like, it's interesting. This is what makes this such a fun year for us, is that how Cody and Taylor do could impact where Will then tries to draw out a lineup. Well, okay, then Flip's got to play the 5, and Nurk is out of lineup because I got to play if they're ready. But if Cody or Taylor's not ready, then probably Nurk's playing the 5, Flip slides to the 4, and then Ace Bailey probably plays the 3. But I'm just kind of playing that, and Sensabaugh plays the 2. Like, it's a really fascinating, and to the tribute of the front office, there's pretty good versatility with all these players, which we have not had in the past.
That's true. I think Austin Ainge made it clear in his debut press conference, where he was quickly asked, are we going to do a tank? And no, we're not going that direction anymore. But I think that also has to come into conversation, D-Locke, where the Jazz own an 8 spot, and they don't want to give that up to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think what's intriguing for me is, where do they go if they're actually surprised some people? That to me is kind of intriguing. Could they be a surprise? Many would say no, but young teams grow at different levels and paces, and I just wonder if there's going to be a mini explosion early, which would make Austin Ainge decide on some pretty difficult situations. But I think there's so many minutes to go with Keyonte and Collier and Bailey and Clayton, Market and Cody, Flip and Walker. And Bryce. Those minutes are going to be chewed up, and I don't think you're going to see the issues, obviously, that we had last year with Colin and JC and who am I missing?
Lowry, if you're talking about guys that just
and Lowry. Lowry last year
we're not playing lineup roulette anymore.
Right.
That's really what Austin Ainge said. We're going to try to win every night with guys, and we're going to play all our guys. Like,
you know what? Markkanen played 47 last year, and the Jazz were fined because of not, laying it out on who was healthy and who wasn't. And for me, and I know you were the same way, there were days we got off a flight or went into an arena, I just wanted to make sure we knew a lineup and who actually was going to be able to be on the floor, just for prep, right? Just so we knew. And some nights were difficult, minutes came and went, or sometimes, the flu bug hit, right? So I don't think we're going to have that issue this year with this team. I think it's all out, a lot of minutes played by a lot of young players, and they'll make some really tough decisions after this season on really who stays in this core to move forward and who does not. Because I always go back to what Will said, is that this is not an easy league. Who has the guts to put the time and effort into it? And if you don't, you're gone. That's pretty plain and simple, right? Of how he works. And I think, he's in his 4th year. Yeah, he's secure. They believe in him. And they want him to be the guy to take them to the next level and beyond. But still, I think he gets a little antsy too because he wants to win. What coach doesn't? And I think that's what makes this year even more intriguing too. I really do.
Will Hardy was one of the topics. We'll touch on my favorite question. We'll outline the route to the playoffs, but who's on the roster when we get there? Next, with the great Craig Bolerjack on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by Open Phone. Okay, this is a product, like, be perfectly honest, that I wish I knew about when I was starting Locked On. So if you're running a business, you know every missed call is money left on the table. The last thing you need to worry about is that. And you know that if you're in a service industry and they call and they don't get you, they're just making the next phone call. You don't actually get a second chance. So that's where Open Phone comes in. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or your company. Yes, my personal phone was right there, was our phone for Locked On for like 7 years. Oh my gosh, I wish I'd known about Open Phone. I'd like to complain about the Locked On Red Sox show. I don't know if that was the show. Open Phone lets me manage business calls, texts from a single app. Shared inbox features a game changer, and an AI agent now handles after-hour calls, answering common questions, capturing leads, so you never miss a customer. Open Phone is offering 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's openphone.com/lockedonnba. So if you have an existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over with no extra charge. That's Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. And it's not their tagline, but I would add no headaches. Craig Bolerjack is with us. All right, here's my premise. This is why I think the comment I've made all summer is that Lowry will play in the Jazz next playoff game because of this. So Ace Bailey has to hit.
Right.
Whoever we draft this year, because as much as I love the idea of us plopping like you just did, it would take about 3 players to be tremendously different than what we expect, which would be awesome, but that's what it would take. It would take 3 players being tremendously different than we expect, so I'm going to assume we don't. We get another draft pick. That becomes a major piece, and we may actually have one the year after that. And then you have Walker, who I think is established, and then you have Lowry. So that gives you kind of 5. We'll probably have free agent money. We'll sign somebody. That gives you 6. Might sign 7. So the truth is, of these 7 players, excluding Ace Bailey, Walker, Kessler, and Lowry Markkanen, we actually only need 2 or 3 of them to hit. We only need 2 or 3 of them to become regular rotation players. Now, if 4 or 5 or 6 hit, awesome. Then you actually trade those pieces because they don't have a route, and you go get other pieces and you build up and you do a great job. And the key to Austin Ainge and Justin Zanuck in the front office will be how they make these choices. That's going to be it. Ace Bailey has to hit. Like, that's not complicated. Right. It's how you choose these other 7. So understanding it's September of 2025, and there's really no way to know this answer, but let's play with it. If you had to choose 2 or 3 that you think are most likely to be on the Jazz roster for their next playoff game, when all of that takes place in 3 or 4 years, who do you think they are?
That's a great question. And are we talking besides Markkanen and Walker?
Kessler, and Bailey have to are. We're going to assume that they have to be there already. So
Ace, Walker.
So it's Keyonte, Bryce Taylor, Isaiah, right. Flip, Cody.
Okay.
And Walter Clayton Jr. So it's those 7.
I think Flip will be on that playoff team.
Okay.
I think Walter Clayton Jr. will be on that playoff team.
Okay. Interesting.
Only because, again, he's a safety valve, in my opinion, for whether or not Keyonte makes it or not.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Or he might just make it. He can really shoot it. He might just be good enough.
He may.
I mean, he can really shoot it.
Size is an issue, but you know what? Size in this league is ask Brunson, right? Jalen Brunson. What it's like to play at a 6-foot height.
Yeah, the only thing I would say on that, just quickly, you're right. Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Trae Young, all are defying the size thing. So you got to be unbelievable.
You do. You have to be special. You have to have something, or the it factor.
Right, because those 3 are all unbelievable.
Okay. They are. And I would think, for me too, you talked about defense and shooting. I'm going to roll the dice here and say Bryce picks it up defensively. I think Sensabaugh nearly 42% from three. They need him in the package as a shooter. I don't know if they have enough room for, quote, a specialty player, but if he can give you some defensive prowess and improve in that category and keep his body in shape, I think he'll be there.
But that's actually really interesting because by the time we hit the playoffs, he's probably the 8th or 9th guy, and then that shooting really is valuable. So you well thought out. Good job on that, because I think you might be right. So I have Taylor Hendricks in my group, even though we know nothing about him. He's played 43 games. And it's so funny because I actually am close to having Cody Williams in my group too. And it's interesting to me that I literally kind of go back to drafting, that size and length and those things matter so much. Take the route by which Taylor Hendricks becomes to me is not difficult to find, right? It's that he stays healthy. He's 6'9", 220. He defends and he hits 35% of his threes. Yeah. Like, okay, you're now an NBA rotation player. The route for Cody Williams, is a little more complicated. He's got a handle, but he still has the length. There's no deficiency physically there, particularly if he can gain the weight. I'm still bullish on Keyonte. I just think we're going to see a different kid this year. I love how much he's been here. So my three end up being Keyonte, Cody sometimes, and Taylor. I probably Flip's proven more than anyone else at this point. I've been trying to figure out a comp other than Kelly Olynyk, honestly. Like, that's been my summer. I've watched a lot. Vucevic is interesting to me on a high end, but he's also got a 7'4" reach, and Flip's got a 6'10" reach.
Right.
My problem, and here's my comment. So Kelly Olynyk's wonderful. I love Kelly Olynyk, but if you go look at his history, every time he gets on a playoff team, he plays about 10 minutes a game in the playoffs. And so, like, Flip could be really, really good, but I'm not sure. He's got to figure out how to defend. I think he'll probably do it. He's just that good a player, and he's actually a way better athlete than people realize. So I think you're probably right on Flip. I don't know. It's fascinating. I just don't know enough about Clayton yet. I saw a lot of things to like when I watched his college film, and I saw a lot of things to like in summer league.
Yeah. I think the thing for me, I've got to see more of Taylor, but he was my next guy that would be there. A lot invested, an NBA body. I think his maturity has been rapid, as you and I discussed yesterday. And I really think that he'd be my outlier. Cody, I'm still not there yet. And
there's no way you should be, frankly, after that year.
And Keyonte still is another outlier. It's really kind of, to me, I think it's up to him on what direction he goes and how he approaches camp. And, I know for a fact that he has probably been the toughest guy on the floor this summer in open court play from all indications from insiders. And that's great to hear, by the way. I think you would agree that he's come and busted his tail.
And I also, by the way, let me go back to something we said yesterday. I just don't believe players get better year 1 to year 2. I'm just like, the fact he was the same player does not surprise me in one iota.
Yeah. Well, it's that sophomore slump, and Walker Kessler lived it. Last year, bounced back. And there's a lot to be said. Hey, I'm in the league. I made it. And then all of a sudden you realize that, you know what? You got to continue to work your tail off to continue this journey. And a lot of guys let up and let the attitude kind of, become an issue, or they don't work as hard. So year 3, they've been kicked in the tail, and they've had to realize that I'm a grown man and this is a tough business, and I gotta come out and play. And that's why, Keyonte, to me, is it a make or break year? No, it may be for the Jazz if they don't, embrace him, but he's a talent, but how far does he want to take it? And how far, again, can Taylor recover? And what's Cody Williams about? I just, those guys this is an important year, as Will said, on decisions of who they take moving forward to the next level. And there's a lot of storylines, man, to follow over the next 82 games. And preseason is going to be fun, too, to see how these rotations work themselves out.
I will say, I want to just add this one last piece to this conversation because it makes some sense of why I seem insane. And so I'm just trying to justify myself. So there were 43 players that regularly played in the conference finals. There were only 2 of them that didn't match size and weight elitism for their position. Mike Conley and Jalen Brunson. And Mike Conley had a hard time in that playoff series.
He sure did.
And Jalen Brunson is a top 10 player in the NBA now.
Yeah.
So when I start looking at who's going to be on the roster as a playoff team in 3 to 4 years, I got to admit, the first thing I go to is, do you have the measurements?
Yeah. And you said it before, you have to have the it factor. What is special about your game that separates you from another 6-footer, right?
Right.
Van Vliet comes to mind. All right.
Sorry, wait 1 second. 3 players, TJ McConnell.
Oh, TJ, right.
And he's a different beast.
Yeah.
But that's actually who Isaiah Collier should be watching every single second.
I would agree. It's again, size, but what do you bring that's difficult to guard? Leadership, savvy, ball handling, toughness, finishing at the rim, and being able to take on big guys and being able to punish them. And all those guys you just spoke of actually have that ability. They all have that ability.
And we're going to close on a high note. What was the best thing that happened to you this summer?
Grandpa. It's about time. I appreciate you asking. Maxwell James Bolerjack. We call him Max. And as we talk today, just a little less than 3 months old. He'll be 3 months next week. But it's just been a joy, to have. Everyone goes through tough times. I lost my parents a couple of years ago in a very short period of time. And this just kind of teaches me some great lessons about life. He's a joy, and we're all just butter in his hands right now.
Love it. Craig, you're the best. I can't wait to spend time with you. Hopefully lots of it. Hopefully some really good conversations. I'm lucky to be around you, and I appreciate you.
All right. I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. He's Craig Bolerjack. We now send you the first ever national NBA channel, Locked on NBA on YouTube. Also, Locked on NBA on audio each and every day. Have a great one. Thanks a lot.